What are they gonna say? What are they gonna say about this room? This is where he read his books.
I don't know what to read today.
It's beautiful though, isn't it? Look at this chair.
Yeah, the sky.
What is that? What's going on here? Yeah. Was it Marie Antoinette? Huh? It's kind of scary. Look at that. Oh my God, look. It's beautiful. I wonder how much this is.
Flagler created the structure for the first multi-state corporation. Though John D. Rockefeller is the name most associated with Standard Oil, when Rockefeller was asked who was responsible for creating a multi-state corporate structure, he said, "I wish I'd had the brains to think of it. It was Henry M. Flagler." Today, business is done throughout the world, and multinational corporations are commonplace. Like his colleagues, John D. Rockefeller,
You like girls, that's for sure. They're all over the place. Right? He must have liked girls because they're all over the place. Everywhere you look, there's naked girls without clothes on. Hey, there he is. Watch your step. No, that's it? We should go through fast, right? And then go back again. Oh, this is so beautiful. Look at this thing. What is that? It'll be on YouTube. You can check it out.
Was born in 1840 in upstate New York. The son of a Presbyterian minister, he became one of the world's wealthiest men. As a founding partner of the Standard Oil Company, the most profitable corporation in history. Among his legacies were innovations related to the structure of the modern American corporation. Flagler realized that eventually corporations
This is like the one in Germany. The German, the Reichstag.
but at the time, companies still had to incorporate in each state in order to do business there. To make it possible for a single business entity to operate in many states, Flagler created the structure for the first multi-state corporation. Though John D. Rockefeller is the name most associated with Standard Oil, when Rockefeller was asked who was responsible for creating a multi-state corporate structure, he said, "I wish I'd had the brains to think of it. It was Henry M. Flagler." Today, business is done throughout the world, and multinational corporations are commonplace. Like his colleagues John D. Rockefeller and steel magnate Andrew Carnegie, Flagler was a self-made man who saw himself not only as a business leader, but also as an architect of a new kind of society, one based not on inherited titles, but on high culture, technological innovation, competitive drive, and a responsibility to create opportunities for individual Americans. For this portrait of Flagler, society painter Raimundo Madrazo Icoreta shows Flagler standing at a highly
I
decorated
like the
table
video
of
better
rich
because I get
design
more.
with an open ledger book and a stack of literary works, a symbolic reference to the Gilded Age ideal of blending business leadership and culture.
He might have sat in that chair. Right?
This library, like all the rooms on the first floor, was designed in a specific historical style as a reflection of the belief among Gilded Age Americans that they were the inheritors of a great Western tradition, a tradition that could be traced back to the ancient civilizations of Egypt,
Is this the
Greece,
pool?
and Rome. The style here is the rich opulence of the Italian Renaissance,
What is that?
a period marked by the rebirth of Met with business associates. Even though the Flagler spent only 6 seconds. This area was where Whitehall's West Terrace once stood. Henry Flagler often came here at the end of the day to sit and relax. From here he looked over a small river, Whitehall skyward, and Lake Worth. Flagler was obviously taking a view of the lake, saying, "Sometimes at the close of the day, when I am fortunate enough to be alone,
Doesn't this look cool?
the trees yonder, and at the sunset,
That used to be a pool, huh?
something like the other was beautiful since, after Henry Flagler died in 1913, was at Whitehall, the Lake Worth County, Mark Organ in 1917. Where the Roosevelt Tents and Hotel was built in 1925. Its ground floor served as the hotel starting room. Exhibits at each end of the West Room's long walkway document the history of the Whitehall Hotel and the Flagler Museum through photographs, mappings, and printed materials.
Joke around,
Whitehall's
joke
original
around
kitchen
with
was
the stand.
destroyed when the hotel addition was built.
You know what I mean?
Coloration
Unless
reinforcements
it's
were
took too much.
booths, display cabinets,
They didn't
housing
add.
china, stemware, and silver, original to Whitehall, or once belonging to Flagler's descendants.
To hear more about Henry Flagler's extraordinary campaign to develop Florida, press 110. The music room was designed in the style of the French Second Empire, the preferred style of the theaters of the Americas. In an age before television, radio, or movies, music was the most popular form of entertainment, and an organ like this was the most impressive musical instrument of the period. A built-in organ is a hallmark of the Gilded Age home. The organ built for Whitehall was made by Odell and is fitted with 1,249 pipes. So important was this instrument in the daily life of Whitehall that the Flaglers employed an organist to live at Whitehall the entire season. Much of what we know about daily life at
Look
Whitehall
at this, there's a
comes from
shell.
scrapbooks,
They even make a spoon out of a shell.
kept by the resident organist.
That's a good
During the
idea.
late 19th century, marches were the most popular kind of music, and Flagler was particularly fond of hearing the march from Tannhauser, the march of the priests from Athalia, and the anvil chorus from the Trovatore, played on Whitehall's organ.
It's
The
like
music
we're,
room
it's like
also
we're
served as
scoping
the
out
picture
everything for,
gallery
you know,
for
like
the
for,
hall. Flagler's collection was typical of the
you know what
period.
I'm talking about?
The paintings were hung
It's like
salon
the,
style,
like,
as was popular at the time, meaning the paintings seemed to cover all the available wall space.
what is that green?
Some
Is
of
that
the
like,
paintings that once hung at Whitehall were removed from the building in the decades before it became a museum, and are now in museums and notable private collections
you had a lot of
around the
money,
nation.
huh?
Midway down the hall to your left, as you face the organ, is a portrait of Mary Lily Keenan, painted in 1902.
See, after all this stuff that
She
he
is
had,
shown wearing the
still,
extraordinary necklace of perfectly
he didn't
matched
have,
pearls
he never had
from
it,
Tiffany
because he kept
that
trying to get
Flagler
more and
gave
more.
her when he proposed
He never
marriage.
found,
It is
like,
nearly impossible
what
to
he
convey
wanted.
the significance of the strand of matched pearls shown in this portrait.
I
At
shouldn't
this
say
time,
that, it might
cultured
be true.
pearls had not
Maybe
been
he did,
developed,
right?
and natural pearls were so
But what
valuable
sense is all
that
these
the
things?
strand of matched pearls shown in the
That's for the
portrait
cooking,
was
right?
worth more than a comparable strand of diamonds. The Flaglers took seriously the responsibility of Gilded Age leaders to promote the arts. Mary Lily was known for her charm and elegance, and it was
That's the
here that she
stuff
hosted
that they
a
cook
group of
with.
women
Look at
known
those.
as the Fortnightly Club, which met regularly
Opera's
to
the
discuss
best, right?
musical programs,
The best for
lectures,
cooking.
cultural and literary subjects.
To hear more about the objects in the music room, press 601.
Look, the original.
Fortnightly Club, press 602. A 1904 article in American Estates and Gardens described Whitehall's courtyard as the most entrancing center to this magnificent home. For millennia, homes have been built around courtyards for two reasons. Courtyards served as climate-controlled devices, providing sunlight and cross-ventilation. And the courtyard garden
You know why he
represented
had
the
all the
taming of
money?
nature and a its
It was a monopoly, I
incorporation
think.
into the ordered world of the gods and muses,
It
representing
was like a
paradise or
monopoly.
heaven on earth. Whitehall's courtyard served both practical and symbolic
Whatever his
purposes.
business was.
Most rooms connect directly or indirectly to the central courtyard, allowing the breezes off the lake and ocean to ventilate and cool the home. The courtyard was laid out in a symbolic fashion, representing paradise. Its four walkways representing the four rivers of mythology, meeting at an elaborate and significant fountain of Venus,
Piano.
goddess
There's the
of light
piano.
and beauty. The courtyard fountain is a copy of the fountain from the Bovoli Gardens in Florence, once owned by the Medici family, renowned merchant princes
we're going
and
out there.
patrons of the arts. Two historically important
Look at
Spanish
those.
plaques are embedded into the
I like
courtyard
that.
wall on
Where'd
either
that
side
from?
of the doorway, opposite
I
the
like the
courtyard
top one.
stairs. The plaques date from the mid-18th century and were made for the Spanish fort San Marcos de Apalache in what is now Tallahassee, Florida. The fort was eventually torn down, and according to one account, the plaques were found around 1835, installed in the floor of a saloon, near where the old fort once stood. The plaques were then removed and placed in the entry gate posts to the governor's mansion, where they remained until 1902, when Flagler purchased the plaques and incorporated them into the walls of this courtyard. The plaque to the left of the doorway is the coat of arms of Ferdinand and Isabella, King and Queen of Spain. The plaque to the right of the
Look at the
doorway
dining room.
reads, Don Fernando VI, being the Catholic monarch of Spain, and the Brigadier Don Lucas Fernando Tallahassee, Governor and Captain General of Florida and its provinces. This fort was built under the direction of engineer Don Juan de Cutia and Commandant of San Marcos de Apalache, AD 1739. Through this ornate hallway, visitors gained access to the billiard room, where gentlemen might gather for sport and conversation, and to the grand ballroom, scene of Palm Beach's most elegant parties. The south hallway is coffered barrel ceiling and is lit by recessed electric lighting, a novel and technologically advanced way to light a room during this period. And appropriately, the grapevine-encrusted columns flanking the grand ballroom entrance are symbols of Bacchus, the Greek god of wine and merrymaking. To the left of the billiard room entrance is a door that leads to the second floor. It was designed to blend seamlessly into the wall, so as not to interfere with the hall's overall symmetry. The door was used by the household staff as they shuttled between the first and second floor, where the servants' rooms are located. Part of the grandeur of Gilded Age homes like Whitehall was the illusion that they functioned as if by magic, with servants appearing whenever needed. During your tour, you may notice small mother-of-pearl buttons built into most of the door frames throughout the house. These buttons were connected to a central call station that notified the household staff which room they were being summoned to.
The billiard room was a male retreat. Here, gentlemen relaxed in what was regarded as informal surroundings. It was also a place where Flagler and his business associates could converse in relative privacy. In a letter to the architects, Flagler asked them to enlarge the room, making it clear how much he valued such an amenity. Underscoring the masculine tenor of the room, Flagler ordered 2 spittoons, cuspidors for the room. While these were commonly found in homes of this period, the billiard room and the library would be the only rooms in Whitehall to have them, because as Flagler explained in a letter to the interior decorator,
Where's the train?
Mrs. Flagler says,
Where's the
she
train?
doesn't want any elsewhere in the house. The style of the room is Gothic
You want a
Revival.
house like this?
The
Awesome.
romanticized medieval look, much favored in the late 19th century, which was inspired by literature, particularly in the novels of Sir Walter Scott. The 3 game tables in the billiard room from left to right are pocket billiards, skittles, and billiards.
To hear more about sports and recreation during the Gilded Age, press 901.
Please
Jacobean style. The breakfast room ceiling is a copy of the ceiling of the state dining room at Warwick Castle, England. The Flaglers also enjoyed meals other than breakfast here, when they were alone, or when there were not enough guests to warrant eating in Whitehall's formal dining room. The servants' door to the right of the fireplace connected this room to the butler's pantry and kitchen area.
You know the second floor? You know the second floor? Oh, there she is. Oh, there it is there. No, I'm just taking video. Oh, should I? I'm videotaping the whole thing. Can you give me some pictures? You want me to take pictures of you? You didn't tell me I was going to have to walk upstairs.
To hear about some of the objects in the dining room, press 1. Read 1.
To hear more about Gilded Age society as it relates to the dining room, press 132.
I like the way you dressed. You wore that white shoes. Ah, I like the way he dresses. See, that's it. You gotta dress like that if you want to be. Yeah, it's the way you dress. So.
Decorated in the style of Louis XVI, the drawing room served as Mrs. Flagler's salon. Here, she and her female guests gathered for conversation and to listen to music.
No,
The
she wasn't.
Steinway
But that.
Arcase grand piano was made specifically for this room. Its
Did she
decorative
only- did you only have one
details
light?
matched those of the room.
Who was that?
Painting on the lid of the piano
Oh, that's all.
was Dorado, the muse of
Look at
World
his
War
musket.
II. Above each door is the cameo of Marie Antoinette, the wife of Louis XVI, who went to the guillotine with him in 1793. The veritable
talking
cult
about
of Marie
Marie
Antoinette
Antoinette.
developed in the mid-19th century, influenced by Empress Eugenie, wife of Napoleon III. Marie Antoinette was regarded as the model patron of the arts because she used her status as queen to promote artists and craftsmen. The fabrics on the walls of the drawing room are silk. The molded plaster ornamentation on the woodwork is highlighted with what looks like gold or silver leaf, but is actually pure aluminum. The decision to use aluminum leaf in the drawing room is highly significant. Though aluminum is the most common metallic element in the Earth's crust, throughout most of Flagler's life, there was no economical way of producing aluminum, and it was therefore a very rare metal and more valuable than gold. In fact, it was so precious it was even used in the production of jewelry. Aluminum's unusual properties of being a lightweight metal which did not tarnish and was a good conductor of electricity gave it an almost magical aura. The aluminum leaf on the walls of the drawing room was coated with shellac to give it a warmer appearance.
To hear about some of the objects in the drawing room, press 1.
While the emphasis throughout the first floor is on art and symbolism, the second floor emphasizes the aesthetics that communicated home and comfort, appropriate to private spaces during the Gilded Age. In addition to the master suite, there were 14 guest rooms on the second floor. However, just as with the public spaces found on the first floor, careful attention was given to every detail of the designs for the rooms of the second floor. For example, the ceiling and door moldings for each room on the second floor
It's a
a
young
tall
Henry
welding
Flagler.
company. To soften the light, the bulbs are covered with a mesh of glass beads.
This room is devoted to an exhibit of documents, photographs, and artifacts that chronicle Henry Flagler's personal and professional life. The exhibit is designed to be self-guiding. Please explore the exhibit at your leisure. The wallpaper design in this room incorporates a lattice and rose pattern with a predominantly green color scheme. As a result, it was named the Green Room. The Colonial Chamber is the most elaborate guest room and was undoubtedly reserved for Whitehall special guests. It is the only room to incorporate a sleeping alcove in its design. Flagler had the furniture in this room moved from his home on the Long Island Sound.
Look at here's the bed. The largest, most elaborate.
Hi.
The largest, most elaborate.
These 5 east-facing guest rooms were filled with morning sunshine, built side by side with double doors connecting them. The connecting doors could be left unlocked to create suites. Each room has been restored to its original appearance. The wallpapers were reproduced using historical documents and photographs. Please move freely from room to room as we point out a few highlights. Each of the guest rooms was named for its particular decorating scheme or dominant color. The heliotrope room takes its name from the heliotrope-colored flower featured on its wallpaper, Whitehall's most elaborate wallpaper design. While heliotrope was a common color description at the time, it fell out of favor some years later when the term was used to describe the pallor of those dying from the worst pandemic in history, the 1918 influenza epidemic. Decorated in Louis XV style, the furniture in this room epitomizes the high style often used to decorate the master bedrooms of Gilded Age homes. In addition to the lavish decor, the size and location of this room reinforce its status
Everything
as
is
the
done in
master
France.
bedroom. The morning light floods this very large bedroom through its south and east-facing windows, which, combined with the high-style decor, create a very dramatic overall effect fit for an American merchant prince like Henry Flagler.
This room served as both walk-in closet and dressing room. Clothes were a very important part of one's social life among the elite of the Gilded Age. Custom dictated proper attire for each meal, for different times of the day, and for a variety of social activities. On a typical day at Whitehall, Mrs. Flagler might change clothes as many as 7 times. Of course, she had help. Like all great ladies of the day, Mrs. Flagler had a personal seamstress, lady's maid, and laundress to care for her wardrobe.
As you can guess from the twin basin sink, Mr. and Mrs. Flagler shared this large bathroom, which was fitted with the most up-to-date conveniences. The sink counter is carved onyx, and the fixtures are nickel-plated. The telephone located near the dressing table is remarkable in that few homes in America at this time even had telephones at all, much less one in the bathroom. In addition to the bathtub, the bathroom originally included a needle shower. Needle showers were essentially a cage made of plumbing pipes with regularly spaced holes that sprayed the bather with jets of water from all directions. The silver maple room is decorated in the English arts and crafts style, which emphasized simple lines and honest use of materials. Careful attention was given even to creating light fixtures painted in the pre-Raphaelite style, adorn the fireplace mantel, the chest, and the head and footboard of the bed. The figures on the headboard represent the musical arts. Those on the footboard represent the four seasons.
This room was named for the style of its furniture. America's centennial celebration of 1876 gave rise to an enduring enthusiasm for colonial and early American furnishings that continues even now. The furnishings seen here are not colonial period pieces, but examples of colonial revival furniture fashionable during the Gilded Age. In contrast to the matching wallpaper and fabrics of the Yellow Rose's bedroom, the colonial room's design demonstrates another tendency of the time, to incorporate several patterns in a room's design. The latticework design in the carpet of this room is unusual, in that, with the exception of the Oriental or French design carpets of the most ornate guest rooms, all other guest room carpets were of a single color with no pattern. The museum's founder and Flagler granddaughter, Jean Flagler Matthews, was an avid collector of fine lace. Until the advent of machine-made lace in the early 20th century, lace was more valuable than gold and was an important part of the dress and style of Gilded Age women. In addition to 5 exhibit cases, each devoted to a specific type of lace, the lace exhibit features photographs, paintings, and other artifacts exploring the significance of lace throughout history. Please feel free to explore the materials in this room at your leisure.
Located near the back staircase that descended to Whitehall's now demolished office wing, the Yellow Rose's bedroom was used by Henry Flagler's personal secretary, J.C. Salter. The matching wallpaper and fabric might appear oppressively busy to our eyes, but it was considered the height of fashion at the time. The rose in the pattern is the Maréchal Niel variety, a great favorite of the late 19th century. The guest room floors all incorporate a border design using various woods around an open field of maple planks. The edges of the open field in each floor incorporate brass inserts designed to accept brass pins. Brass pins pushed through the carpets and into the brass inserts held the carpets exactly in place, leaving the decorative wood borders of the floor exposed. These simple but tastefully appointed rooms would not be out of place in a fine bed and breakfast or country inn today. These are just 2 of Whitehall's 12 servants' rooms used by the household staff. The staff of a grand mansion like Whitehall were organized into a hierarchy. At the top were Mr. and Mrs. Flagler's personal assistants and secretaries, who traveled with them from house to house. A second tier included butlers, valets, cooks, and maids, who also traveled from house to house. A third tier of servants remained at each of Flagler's 4 homes to look after the building and grounds. These servants' rooms would have been assigned to servants in the first and second tiers. In keeping with the occupant status, the plumbing and lighting fixtures are first rate, superior, in fact, to anything found in the finest homes in South Florida at the time. In addition to these rooms used by Whitehall servants, 10 more bedrooms located on the 3rd floor were available for the servants who accompanied the Flagler's house guests. Catering to the needs of the Gilded Age elite provided welcome employment for substantial numbers of skilled and unskilled workers, ranging from carpenters and gardeners to seamstresses and parlor maids. But employing servants at this time in history was not limited to the wealthy. 30% of all American households in 1902 employed at least 1 servant.
The museum's temporary exhibits are intended to provide you with more insight into the subjects related to the Gilded Age and Whitehall, and are designed to be self-guided. Please feel free to tour the temporary exhibit gallery on your own.
The Flagler-Keenan Pavilion was constructed in 2004 to ensure the preservation of Flagler's private railcar. Designed by Palm Beach across Lake Worth has dramatically changed during the last century. When Flagler arrived here, the Everglades began at Lake Worth. While Palm Beach has remained a small town and winter retreat for America's wealthy, West Palm Beach, and indeed all of South Florida, has become one of the nation's largest metropolitan areas. It seems perfectly appropriate that the best view of the West Palm Beach skyline can be seen directly across the lake from the pavilion, as it was Flagler's railway and vision that made South Florida the thriving metropolis it is today. Henry Flagler's private railcar, named simply Railcar Number 91, is even older than Whitehall. Built in 1886, it was one of two cars that Flagler used to travel his railroad empire. With its luxurious accommodations, Railcar Number 91 was hailed by a newspaper of the time as a palace on wheels. It was in this railcar that Henry Flagler made the first trip ever by rail to Key West in 1912 over the newly completed extension of his Florida East Coast Railway. The Key West extension consisted of 156 miles of track, bridges, and viaducts, and was the most ambitious engineering feat ever undertaken by a private citizen. Skeptical journalists once ridiculed it as Flagler's Folly, but later hailed it as the eighth wonder of the world. Today, the railroad is gone, destroyed by a hurricane in 1935, but the overseas highway still runs along the original right-of-way. This is John Blades, the museum's executive director. On May 20th, 1913, Henry Flagler died of complications from a broken hip suffered from a fall here at Whitehall. Flagler was 83 years old. His contributions to the nation and the state of Florida are incalculable. As a businessman and entrepreneur, he was the architect of many important features of the modern American corporation, and a founding partner in the most profitable corporation in history, Standard Oil. But perhaps his passion for Florida will be what he's remembered for most. In many ways, Flagler literally invented modern Florida. By building what are even now, a century later, the state's two main industries, tourism and agriculture, as well as the state's transportation infrastructure, Flagler realized his dream of creating an opportunity for the average person to have a home and a job in the paradise he loved. Without fanfare and often anonymously, he funded the infrastructure of dozens of communities, underwriting public utilities and buildings, streets and canals, hospitals, schools, and parks, and churches of all denominations. Whitehall stands as a monument to the ideals of Henry Flagler and America's Gilded Age, the belief that anyone can accomplish great things, that with great wealth comes great responsibility, and that when success and wealth are coupled with great vision, they enrich an entire society for generations to come. Thank you for visiting Whitehall and HenrysHouse and Flagler Museum. We hope you enjoyed your tour and that you will visit us again soon. Please return your audio wand to the front porch of Whitehall, where you began your tour. Welcome to Whitehall and the Henry Morrison Flagler Museum. This is John Blades, the executive director of the Flagler Museum. When Whitehall was completed in 1902, the New York Herald proclaimed it more wonderful than any palace in Europe, grander and more magnificent than any other private dwelling in the world. Please help us preserve Whitehall for future generations by resisting the urge to touch or lean on objects, furnishings, or even wall coverings as you walk through the museum. For your own safety and enjoyment during your visit, please do not use flash photography, and we ask that you turn off your cell phones. A red carpet runner will guide you through the museum and help to preserve the wood floors. Please watch your step when crossing thresholds. I've asked two native Palm Beachers and Flagler Museum supporters to narrate our tour through Whitehall. Monty Markham and his wife Claire have enjoyed long careers working on stage, screen, and television, and today produce documentary films. So it seems especially fitting that they would be the hosts for our tour through Whitehall. Now let's begin our tour here under the portico by pressing 2 on your audio wand. This is Monty Markham. Whitehall was the winter home of Henry Flagler, one of the leading figures of America's Gilded Age. Whitehall is a museum and national historic landmark, and a wonderful place to learn about Flagler's tremendous influence on Florida and America's Gilded Age. The term Gilded Age was coined by Mark Twain in 1873. While there is no universal agreement on when the Gilded Age began and ended, we will focus on the period from the end of America's Civil War in 1865 to the crash of the stock market in 1929. This was a period of unparalleled growth in technology, which produced wealth among the business class, the likes of which the world had never seen. One of the hallmarks of America's Gilded Age was the building of monumental homes. Why would Henry Flagler and other titans of the Gilded Age build such monumental homes? The answer might surprise you. On a personal level, Whitehall was built as a wedding present for Flagler's wife, Mary Lidley Keenan, whom you will hear more about during your tour. But great Gilded Age homes like Whitehall were built to serve an important civic function. They were built to serve as museums, or literally homes for the classical muses of arts and literature. By filling them with symbolic references to art and literature, they communicated the message that America had become the most highly evolved culture in history. In essence, Whitehall was built to be Florida's first museum and an important symbol of American cultural sophistication. As John Carrere, Whitehall's chief architect, said, the amount of art education